Q&Asa. Game on Daily.
I'm like on time. Welcome to the world of Q&Asa, where the past, present and future of gaming all converge. You know, I'd like that to be more true now that I think about it. I've been very focused on the present of gaming lately, very much playing whatever's just come out, staying up with what's topical. I need to get back onto my VR to play the stuff from the future, and I need to get back onto my Dreamcast and stuff to play the stuff from the past. I enjoy all of it, but I don't have all of that time. How's the booty? That's a good question, Hacky Sacked. That's a good question. I think we'll find out on the Xbox podcast tomorrow just how he's doing. Say hi to Jack. Hello, Jack. Hope you're doing well. Isla, please mute me. I don't like talking into the open. It's weird. For those that don't know me, I hate being on the internet. I hate talking in public. I hate being on camera. But I do these podcasts. It's very strange. Weird. Like, nobody knows how this came to be, but it does, and it ends up being fun. So we carry on every week. How's everybody doing? This is the Gaming Arcadia channel. There's been many changes over the last 2 or 3 weeks. There are now many podcasts running, but this particular one has been running for like 83 weeks or something like that. I see Pete, Wayne, Tony, Dave, Mac, Isla, Hacky Sacked, Replicant, right, familiar names that keep on coming back to have this nice little conversation. So this one carries on and on and on, even though I'm sick as a dag and don't know where I am right now. So I'm going to rely on all of you to carry the conversation even more than usual. That's not true. You always carry the conversation every week. I'm lazy. I just turn up and let you roll. But that is how this show works. So if you've never been here before, it is just a big conversation. I talk to you, you talk to me, you talk to each other. We all wave at Tom. Hello, Tom. How you doing? And that's how it runs. Gaming with passion. Good to see you. You've got pizza, but you don't got headphones. That's a reasonable compromise. If I were given the choice, have headphones or have pizza, I would probably go with the pizza. Especially I've not eaten much today. Raw pizza, less appetizing. It's a big conversation. Talk to me, talk to each other. I do my best to keep up with chat here, and if I fail miserably, or you just like you're a real attention seeker and you must have attention, then you've got options. You can super chat. I will catch any super chats that you send in and make sure I read those. There will be a Q&A box from YouTube. Anything that you stick into the Q&A box, I will address at the end of the show. Not necessarily answer, but, you know, I'll address it. Stick it in there. It'll definitely be read. It'll definitely be looked at. And that's always a good time. You can also, if you want to show your face and your voice to the world, you can get on our Discord server. There's a link in the description of the video. Stick yourself in whatever waiting room you can see. Priority does go to the people that are members and all the rest of it, but jump in there and you can come on for a couple of minutes and talk to the world. Tony, Twitch is trash now and YouTube is faster. I'll explain that in a minute. Hacky Sack, did I see the Zuck critiquing the Apple Vision today? I didn't. actually. I know that he said, right, the gist of it is that he said that the Quest 3 is a better experience in every way. But then he does obviously have a vested interest in pushing the Quest 3, so... Tony, this is YouTube's low latency mode. This is the only show that I do in the low latency mode because it is a conversation, right? It would be very difficult for me to have a conversation with you if there was a 30-second gap or whatever between me saying things and you responding. So we go low latency, but I am on Twitch as well, even though there's never anybody on Twitch. One of these days, there will be. It was a fair critique, Replicant. What did he say specifically? Patrick is a luxurious backdrop today. I'm not sure about luxurious. But I was feeling piratey, because one of the games that I've been playing was obviously Skull and Bones. So what specifically did Zuckerberg criticize about the Vision Pro? Because from what I gather from people that I've seen talk about it, it does have a nicer display than the Quest 3. And it has some neat features. I saw a little demonstration of a reflective metallic sphere that they floated in the room on the Apple Vision Pro, explaining how that it can reflect like the real world environment onto a virtual item, and that was cool as fuck. If you like augmented reality, which I don't particularly care about. Surely Zuck wouldn't exaggerate how much better the Quest 3 is. I mean, there has to be some grain of truth to what he's saying if he wants to be able to carry it off, right? If he just says like, oh, the Apple one smells of poo or something, then people probably won't take it too seriously. He acknowledged the better display, but criticised the amount you can do with the Vision Pro. Yeah, it does seem really limited and really not suited to me personally. Because I care about games, I don't really care about the productivity stuff. The Vision Pro looks like it's pretty good for maybe watching a film or using it as a computer to do spreadsheets. I don't freaking know. Whatever people do with computers, it's boring. But it's not really there on the games. So give us your data, not Apple. Yes, Tom. So he was saying you should get a Quest 3 because it's got more uses, more games, and it's the more open platform. That one's an interesting one. The open platform thing. Because you always get the impression with Meta that any openness of the platform has been reluctant. The Meta have kind of captivated the PC gaming crowd, and that's a quite stubborn, quite resilient bunch of people that have kind of forced their hand. So I don't think Meta wanted to allow all of the Steam games to play on that thing to begin with, but there was a lot of push and shove. I don't think Meta wanted to disconnect the account systems from the Facebook accounts and all of that kind of stuff they had going on, but it happened. Sea of Thieves is a very beautiful game. Do you know what? Episode 13, it really is. I remember when the Skull and Bones first reveal trailer came out, and a lot of people were wowed by the graphics because it looks obviously a lot more realistic than oh, thanks, Hacky Sack. So beautiful. Happy Valentine's to you. I'm going to assume you're talking to me because that's how it works, but it makes me more comfortable if you're talking to everybody else. You're all beautiful. Thanks for spending Valentine's Day here. My wife's in the other room. She doesn't give a shit. She's like, sure, I don't want to spend Valentine's Day with you. Go and talk to your people over here. So here I am. He was kind of saying that the Quest is the Android of the VR space. I hope that when he's saying these things, he feels some obligation to stick to it and keep it that way, rather than trying to close it off over time. Chronic, you sent me the video on Twitter, thank you. I haven't been around much today to watch it, but I'm vaguely aware that it happened. Tom, Sea of Thieves is beautiful. Shame all of the servers are going to be shut down tomorrow. Yeah, we are sitting on the precipice of major changes to the industry. Xbox are going to shut down all of their games tomorrow, and you're going to try and switch on your Xbox and it's just not going to work. You're going to press the button and it's going to go... All your games will be gone. But obviously Sony are going to do the same thing in the very near future. So the PlayStation 5 will just do its angry beeping like it does after you've had a power cut, and all of our games will be gone. Very scary stuff. We can talk a little bit about this stuff in a bit, but, you know, there's only so much we can say before all of the announcements take place. Sony have said some things today, haven't they? Anyway, I'm forgetting how this show works. Let's start with the good bit. Let's start with the games that we've been playing. What games have you all been playing? Patrick, your Xbox consoles have already started their detonation process, but you're behind. You're over in the States. I should, like, explode 5 hours before yours. Apple Vision is the future. Tony, you never know. Not the current iteration of it. A couple of versions down the line, maybe it will be. They are definitely, I like looking at, when you look at Apple Vision Pro trailers and things, I like the way that your windows cast shadows and reflections and things into your environment. That's neat. Doesn't particularly like enhance the experience in a meaningful way, but it's neat that they do that stuff. There's a countdown clock. So Replicant, you've been playing Helldivers 2 and Suicide Squad. Tell me about Suicide Squad. How are you finding that? Patrick Darson, you played The Ascent earlier. Tony played for a couple of hours last night too. I love The Ascent, and I've still got to do the DLC. Do you happen to own the DLC? Because the DLC takes place after the campaign. And I still need to play it. I would be very happy to jump into the campaign some more and play it with you. I've still got The Ascent installed. Although I think I've got the... You're playing on Steam, aren't you? And I've got the Game Pass version. Or the... Not the Game Pass version, but the Xbox version, essentially. That might ruin it. Ali, you got an achievement for Minecraft Switch. Does the Switch have achievements? Like itself as a platform, does it have... Does your Switch account have points or a level or something like that, like the other platforms? Or is this just a Minecraft achievement? Nintendo haven't done that yet because they're 20 years behind, so they're due to... When did we get achievements? We got it with the 360 and we got it with the first Uncharted game on the PlayStation. So Nintendo are due to bring in achievements. God, PlayStation 3 must have been getting on for 20 years ago. How old was the first Uncharted game? I'm going to go with Nintendo are 20 years behind Sony. Nintendo don't give a plop. Nintendo might be the last bastion for real games. They might be the refuge when all has gone to shit, when Sony and Microsoft have given up everything fun about gaming and chased the microtransactions. Nintendo, being 20 years behind, might be where we live out the last of our days. Because they seem nice. I like Nintendo. I don't play Nintendo games, but I'm actually genuinely, like, I look at that company and appreciate them now. So I'm going to play some Nintendo games. Even though their console's shite. They might be the last character standing. I don't think they'll be the last character standing, Pete, but I think they might be the last representation of what it is that made us like gaming in the first place. You never know. We shall see. I'm not on top chat. I'm just struggling to survive. It's an Xbox achievement. You showed it on your Xbox app. Yeah, I know. No, I get that Minecraft is an Xbox achievement, but I didn't know if Nintendo has their own like baseline thing as well. The Doomsday Clock will hit midnight when Nintendo release games multi-platform. That's a very appealing Doomsday Replicant. I look forward to it. Does anyone know if Nintendo is dealing with ballooning AAA game budgets? Nintendo deal with the ballooning AAA game budgets by not making AAA games, which is an easy solution for them. When you get like the next Zelda game is fully voice acted cinematic, like properly ballooned budget game, then you'll know something's going on. But no, Nintendo deal with the spiraling AAA budgets by not making that kind of game. Painful Discourse, if Nintendo are 20 years behind, they're bound to start doing microtransactions soon. Yeah, that's the fear. That's the fear. They're going through their map pack phase at the moment. It's when they get onto loot boxes. I don't know, you'd think they've got an advantage of seeing how people respond to that, but Game Pass is in recession. Is it actually a replicant? Are the numbers actually shrinking on Game Pass? Because that would be like worth some thought. Game Pass and Microsoft in general, we know that Game Pass has missed targets year on year on year. Interesting. Where are you getting that from, Replicant? Like, who is whispering these things? I don't like to take like, rumors and unsourced things and run with them, but it's a curious statement. Game Pass everywhere. The problem with that, episode 13, Microsoft would love to put Game Pass everywhere, of course. They have a lot of third-party games on Game Pass, and third-party relations are complicated. I think the third-party games are probably the reason that we don't have the family plan on Game Pass already. Replicant source is the internet. The US is nearly in a recession. Wow. Yeah, it's been a while since the world was like, everyone's getting rich now. Luigi will be a paid character in the next Mario game, yeah. And they'll really ruin things when they put like a green costume for Mario. Shit just gets confusing. Episode 13, your source is your love. You love Luigi because he wears green, don't you? You think he's an Xbox representative over in Nintendo land. Not meeting expectations, tracking behind the projections. That bit's definitely true, Replicant. I've said that like every financial update that Microsoft give, they do say that Game Pass is missing projections and expectations, but they do normally have fairly lofty projections for it. That's not necessarily, like, that's not the same as shrinking, it's just not on target. It'll be very interesting tomorrow when it's to see what's happening. Tell me more about games before we get onto the Xbox Tomorrow stuff. And the PlayStation stuff that they were talking about today. Tom, you could never tell the difference between Mario and Luigi. These Italians all looking the same, all controversial. One of them's tall and green. Replicant, you're not renewing Game Pass. Do you have the other one? Or do you have subscriptions in general? I'm a freaking idiot and I have all of them. I have PlayStation Plus, I have the EA one on PC, I have the Ubisoft one, I have Game Pass Ultimate, I have Game Pass Ultimate for my children. I've got Quest Plus, which I keep forgetting to look at and redeem the games. I like my subscriptions. To hell with owning anything. Night, guys and gals. You go to bed, Dave. Okay, you have a good sleep. Episode 13, you have Game Pass. You need to work out a new deal for June from CD Keys. So you go for the discount Game Pass. So if Microsoft scale back Game Pass tomorrow, if they say we can't put Call of Duty on Game Pass because the economics don't work out, we can all blame episode 13 for getting Game Pass at a discount. Episode 13, stacking Game Pass up, has cost us all Call of Duty. Made the whole model non-viable. Games, please. Tell me more games. Because I have been playing Brotato. Why have I been playing Brotato? Because Gamsley keeps on insisting that it's really good, and some people agree with him, and some people tell me, yeah, Brotato's good, you should play it. And I've played Brotato. I do not understand. It's not great, it sucks. Rachie, you have Game Pass and you buy some games on Xbox, but tomorrow you will maybe stop expanding your Xbox library. What are you expecting from tomorrow, Rachie? I don't understand Brotato, like, whatsoever. I tried and I tried and I tried, and nothing ever happens in that game. It's the most uneventful, mind-numbing shite to me. I get the auto-battler as a genre. I like Vampire Survivors, like, to a reasonable extent. But in Vampire Survivors, you go into a new level and you've got, like, an artifact to try and work your way towards. The fact that you go into a new level already makes it infinitely better than Brotato. And stuff happens, and there's events, and death comes, and then eventually you figure out ways to get past death, and there's stuff going on, and Brotato is just like, here is a brown square. Circle the enemies. Do it again. 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 I do not get it at all. But a lot of people like it. You just don't know how to zig and zag in Brotato. I know how to zig and zag. I'm a fucking Hades phenomenon. I'm brilliant at games. Brotato's boring. I don't get it. Episode 13, your friends play what? Call of Duty? I've never been a Call of Duty person. I can't do like military camouflage games in general. That's why I like Halo. In Halo I can make my enemies bright green, just like I used to have in Quake 3. Bright green enemies, then I know who I'm shooting and who I'm not. Chronic, you're just not very active. You're usually gaming when you're not watching my shows. That's cool. I know you're in the Discord. For anyone that's not, our Discord is a good time. It's very active. There's always people talking and having a good time there. Rati, you don't know what to expect, but the next gen of Xbox, you feel it'll be a Wii U situation. If the next Xbox has less than 20 million, third party will leave Xbox behind. I don't see third party leaving Xbox behind, because Xbox is always going to be very easy to develop for, being paired with Windows in the way that it is. So I would say that's I never have complete faith that a platform is going to be there forever, but Xbox as a platform is a reasonably safe bet if you're going to bet on anyone. Third party won't leave them behind. I sound like Death. Death is one of the coolest characters in all of fiction and reality, so I'll take it. Thank you, Joe. What a compliment that is. Turnip Boy Robs a Bank is better than Brotato. I assume that one mimics Hotline Miami, right? I haven't tried it. I have seen it on there. Tony suggested two-finger death punch, some number of fingers, and some kind of death blow. I'm going to try that and hope that it's more fun. So many veg-based games. Yeah, why not? Switch back to Direct... Wait a minute, Daj. Switch back to DirectX 11, turned ray tracing off. Just want to beat the fucking game. Is this The Ascent? Patrick, the fake Vampire Survivors ripoff that you played during Next Fest is better than Brotato. If it's got more structure to it, I already prefer it. Brotato has like a lot of weapons and options and stats, but none of them make the game feel meaningfully any different whatsoever. I just do not get it. Each to their own though, eh? If you like Brotato, or even if you don't, it's there on Game Pass. Wait a minute, Pete's gifting the stuff again. Thank you, Pete. That is very generous of you, but much appreciated. Rati, if you want to hit the Discord link, see what that's all about, you get access to it all while you've got that. So this chat has devolved into Brotato hate. No, that's the thing, Hacky Sacked. I am not a massive fan of Brotato, but there are people here that love it. So by all means, keep it fair and balanced. Tell me what it is, what grips you about Brotato. And I'm going to start slagging off my next game. Yes, Replicant, Sea of Thieves is the background. Which, by contrast, next to Skull and Bones, it's so nice to be a pirate. Skull and Bones, you're not a pirate, you're a boat. It's a really weird thing. You create your character at the start and you don't even get to give him a name, which upset me very much. Bro hate, yo. Yeah. Yeah, Skull and Bones, like I got it on the Ubisoft subscription, so it's there to play, and you make a character but you don't even get to give him a name. You do get to give your boats names. You are, literally episode 13, you are a boat. You become a person to walk around little settlements and pick up quests and do trading, but the majority of the game, you do not control a pirate, you have direct control of a boat. And it's weird. Wait a minute, Pete, what's not personal? Pete, what's not personal? I missed it. Shit. Pete said something mean. Pete, what did you say? What's not personal? I don't know what's happened. I don't know which game we're talking about. Boats don't have legs. Episode 13. You're absolutely right. Saitama soon I'll be able to play Sea of Thieves on my beloved Switch. I never play things on Switch. Righty, thank you for the super chat there as well. To thank Pete for the membership. Do have a look at the Discord. It is a good time. Hopefully you'll fit in there and enjoy it. We've got game servers and people talking and streaming to each other. All kinds of things over there. Isla Redfall. Why are you yelling Redfall at me? Isla, you very rarely yell Redfall. This is new. Read Painful Discourse's comments are about Redfall. Right. Painful Discourse. I'm not going to write what you played for the third time. I ask and then I don't care. Painful Discourse. I care so much. Are you playing Redfall? You're back in Redfall, but I persist in not reading comments. Oh, look, I'm trying, Painful Discourse. Your name is invisible. Why are you playing Redfall again? What's brought you into it? And are you enjoying it now? Like, has it changed significantly since it came out? I know the console version got it 60 frames per second and all that. Pirate game is not personal. Yeah, and the character doesn't have a name, so... But when I say that you play as a boat, you literally play as a boat. And I don't get it. Like, on a keyboard, you move the boat and you steer it as if you were steering a person with W, A, S, and D. It's slightly different on a controller in that you press A to drop your sails and go faster. You still steer left and right with the analog stick, and when you want to use... It's really obscure. When you want to shoot stuff, you hold the left trigger like you're playing Call of Duty. You like aim down sights, and it gives you a reticule to aim around. When you actually shoot, the correct crew members will fire the appropriate cannons in the direction that's valid. And it's just like... But you've got Sea of Thieves right there as a reference of how to make a fun pirate game. Look at Sea of Thieves. Let me do that shit. Because Sea of Thieves is not a perfect game. Like I have issues with the overall structure and lack of progression and things like that in Sea of Thieves. But Skull and Bones could have just walked in and made like a compelling pirate game across all of these platforms that Sea of Thieves isn't on as yet. They didn't. They made a weird controller boat game. But Alex isn't here at the moment. Alex likes not Sea of Thieves. Alex likes Skull and Bones so far. And I have to say as well, when I criticize Skull and Bones for what it is, I've only played the opening like 2 or 3 hours. So it might be that if I engage with it properly, if I put some time into Skull and Bones, it might come a point where it kind of shows me what's good about it. It hasn't done that yet. But if it's got any, if the only possible redeeming quality for this game, it's an online game, it's described as an MMORPG. If it has compelling social hooks, if it forces interesting interactions with other people, then it might rescue itself. But I've seen no evidence of that yet either, so I don't know. If it takes more than 2 to 3 hours to like a game, they have a problem. In today's world, they do have a problem, Pete, but that's a sad thing. I think that's to the detriment of the industry in its current state. It used to be, because games were like more of a treat to actually spend money and have a game. I don't know, you were more compelled to try and like it, more compelled to try and get the good stuff out of it. So there wasn't such a rush to expose everything good about it within the first 2 or 3 hours. And I think that's an audience problem that's not fixable. It's a sad indictment really, because like front loading a game like that isn't necessarily going to provide overall the best experience for the game, but it's necessary because if you don't do that, people will just go and play a different game. It's the same thing as YouTube videos where you're supposed to make the first 5 seconds like boom. I don't look at my YouTube videos. I'm not a good YouTuber, but if you're a good YouTuber, you're supposed to hook people within the first 5 seconds, and the first 30 seconds is considered critical. Your video has to be hugely entertaining and set up hooks for the entirety of the video within the first 30 seconds, or people will stop watching. Games have that problem, but I care more about games. It's more of a fundamental issue there, that they have to front load and they have to structure games to hook people and set them up for the entirety of their journey. within the first like 30 minutes, or they'll just go and play something else on their subscription service, which is a weird scenario. Replicant, you think I'm probably better off playing Black Flag than Skull and Bones? I've never played Black Flag because stealth. Black Flag might not have had stealth, but it is part of the Assassin's Creed series, which I avoided because of stealth. Dodge, who's a flip-flopper? How dare you? Skull and Bones feels like an open world of tanks, but with pirate ships. Does it? As in the control scheme specifically. Rachel, you have more fun playing Puzzle Pirate, the MMO. Anyone remember that game? I do not. I've never played Puzzle Pirate. What kind of era are we talking about here? When you're cold and your feet are dirty, have like a warm shower and fix both problems. Or don't, because you're busy. We've got a show on right now. Speaking of which, actually, Isla, I forgot. If you have Discord available, if you got your headphones and stuff, you should pop in so that when it comes question time, you can do the questions for me. If the questions box is even up, I don't know. You don't like wet. Wet is useful for cleaning dirty feet, though. Darge wants an Xbox handheld. He will fold. You want an Xbox handheld. We should Skull and Bones. So that's an interesting thing, though, Darge. I haven't got far enough into Skull and Bones to actually understand what the multiplayer component is. Like, what you do if you're playing with other people. At the moment, my current objective in Skull and Bones is to go and harvest some trees. And I don't think playing with other people will make, particularly enhance collecting wood. So, I don't know. We can discover it together. Yeah, okay, Dodge, I'm up for that. I will try and play some more Skull and Bones to see if we can get to the good bits. But we also have... Our Puzzle Pirate was 18 years ago. Is it still running, Rachy? Or is it a game that got shut down? I've also been playing Helldivers 2, which a lot of people on the Discord server have been on, but when I went to play it, none of them were available. How do you harvest trees in a boat? Tom, I actually couldn't figure it out. I came completely unstuck and stopped playing. I know that you can do it. I think you have to equip the saw that I made, and I think it will just give you a little like mini cutscene where your crew go and get the wood for you or some shit like that, but I haven't done it yet. Can't believe everyone's not playing Tomb Raider. Is Tomb Raider out now, the little remaster thing? I know it was like this week or thereabouts, but I didn't know it was out now. Left trigger? No, left trigger didn't do anything for me. I pressed all of the buttons while I was by the tree, and it didn't do anything. I'm going to try that afterwards. If maybe I missed left trigger somehow. Why does left trigger pick up wood from your boat? That doesn't make any sense. Go near the tree. I did go near the tree. Insofar as you can go near the tree, I'm a boat. I'm an actual boat. Select Harvesty. Huh. I'm assuming that's harvest, but... Today's the day. Torque controls are back, baby. What? Then hit the left trigger on the saw that comes up. You cut it down. You know, I'm sure I pressed everything. Cool. I'm seeing more reasons for that shower, Isla, but, you know. Painful Discourse. I'm trying to read all of this stuff, but I'm glad you're not aggravated when I miss them, so. Left trigger never hits things. Left trigger doesn't pick up wood. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. So how many of you are on Skull and Bones? Either because you... Did anybody buy Skull and Bones? It's a quadruple A game. Infinite budget. Surely some people bought it. I do try not to miss things, but I do miss some. I can't see what Tony's just spammed all over the place there. That's on Twitch, that's why. Tony, thank you for being on Twitch and entertaining everyone there with whatever you've just spammed. So, Helldivers. How are we thinking Helldivers is? Are people still going to be playing Helldivers in like even 2 weeks' time, do you reckon? Because it seems moderately entertaining. It's very deliberately like clunky, which you can immediately tell from the way that you use its stratagems. It's like super moves or whatever. Dying, 1 second. Yeah, the way that you use its stratagems, you have to input commands on the D-pad, and they're not idiots. They've done this very much on purpose. They know that you can't use the D-pad while you're moving around in a third-person shooter. So it forces you to kind of stop an input or really awkwardly hold the controller. Like, my left hand is moving and my right hand is now using the D-pad underneath it awkwardly. The game is made to be kind of deliberately clunky, and that holds true and holds through in all of its like movement and mechanics, which isn't necessarily immediately fun. I like responsive, acrobatic, agile kind of dynamic combat, and Helldivers doesn't go for that. It goes for being stubborn and clunky such that it makes your characters vulnerable and makes it very easy to die in frustrating but entertaining ways. Garcia, you saw Skull and Bones and it looked like a cheap version of Black Flag to you, so you're not interested. Black Flag is your favorite Assassin's Creed game. It's not cheap though. Like, it's had 1 million people making it over 1 million years, so it's a very expensive game. But I don't know what made, like, a lot of people love Black Flag. What made it so compelling? What is missing from Skull and Bones that Black Flag had? Racy, you've never played a game with more clunky control than GTA 5, and look at it, wow. The clunky controls, yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's one of those things that could put a lot of people off. Like, it's got the advantage of being a game that people paid for, so they're going to give it that bit more time to try and find the enjoyment, but... And it is funny, right? The AC gameplay and narrative element is missing. So in Black Flag, I assume you do control a person more so than just a ship, and you get to go and do Assassin's Creed stuff on land and kill people or whatever it is. As well as obviously having a narrative, which Skull and Bones seems to be very much in the same vein as Sea of Thieves, where the whole point is to grind your pirate reputation. Joe, you wish Helldivers had the Foam Stars model of a free month on PlayStation Plus. You would have subbed for it, but you're not paying 40 quid for the 2 hours that you probably play it. Yeah, it's difficult because I want games to be able to sell for money. Like, I want a game that you buy, I want that to be a viable commercial model. Otherwise, the subscription services and the companies that run them have like too much sway over what content is viable. So in that sense, I want Helldivers to be a practical project, but if that makes sense. Garcia, you're not interested in being a pirate ship, you want to be a pirate. Yeah, that is what it misses next to like Sea of Thieves. Garcia, what platforms do you play on? Racy, it costs $70 to have the privilege to suffer the Uplay launcher. It is a mess. It is a mess, the Uplay launcher. Isn't Black Flag being remastered? I don't know, Joe. I don't know. Tony has been spiteful to you tonight and ruined your Valentine's Day. That seems unlikely, Dodge. Tony couldn't ruin your Valentine's Day. Hello, Isla. Wait, what? What did I miss? Wayne, was it me or Gamsley that said it doesn't have the swashbuckling part of the ship combat? That was Gamsley, and it's entirely true. Because you play a boat and not a person. You play on every platform except PC. Fair enough. Dodge is upset because you said... Oh no, I'm not going to finish reading that. You came back and Katie has shut me down. Oh, the cat hates me. Reasonable. Reasonable. So, Helldivers. How many people are playing that at the moment? It's got some... like, it's another one that I couldn't really say the narrative means a thing to me. It's very much a throwaway, like, if people are playing it, I'll jump in with them, do a mission or two, and not really care about the result. Because it's it delivers its story, or it's like the concept that it has in place of a story is this galactic war where they present on the mission select screen like a whole load of global statistics for everyone that's playing Helldivers, saying what progress you've made on these different planets and things. But that to me will forever feel very artificial, because I don't feel you're supposed to feel part of a big community effort, but what I feel is that I'm part of a data set, and the developers will adjust the targets to fit that data set. It's the only practical way that you can run a community event, is to look at what results the community is actually getting and tune the campaign to fit that, rather than actually be a community thing. So that's a bit unusual. Replicant Helldivers is very, very good. Is it? What do you like about it, Replicant, and who have you been playing it with? Joe, you reckon it should have a campaign? I don't mind the idea of it's like being an ongoing, potentially live service game that it is. I don't mind the idea of the like community targets and things. I like the fact that the what missions are available, what zones you can go to, what kind of enemies you can fight will change day by day according to how this community thing is progressing. I just don't necessarily feel part of anything, because they will just, like, I don't know, that side of it is very artificial to me. Replicant, you've been playing with randoms. Oh, that's gross and slimy. Didn't you did you ask in the Discord to see who's around? Because there are a lot of people that have that game. Gamsy's here, baby. Good Gamsy. Gamsy doesn't like Helldivers. Darge gave away a code, so Wayne's got it. Wayne got the code from Darge yesterday. I got it on the PlayStation, which I kind of regret. The PlayStation version is definitely not like the prettiest way to play that game. It's not very crisp and clean. It's one of those ones that hits such a low resolution that you go, oh, that's a little bit nasty, which is a shame. But it's not all bad. Rachie, many call it pay to win, but it's co-op, so if someone wants to pay, you say go for it and carry you. If it was a World War II soldier, you see you hiding behind the tank. Yeah, the pay to win thing, people get so caught up on the label. Like, whether it's pay to win or not is the wrong argument, and I see it especially on Twitter, where people just like to argue about complete shite because I don't know what else have they got to do. Whether you consider it pay to win or not is kind of irrelevant. The fact is that there are a type of microtransaction in there, and you have to judge for yourself if it's detrimental to your enjoyment of the game or not. And is it? I don't know. I don't like the fact that I can buy functional gear in it. My preference would definitely be not to have that in there. It's not particularly in your face in that game, and they do need to fund it if they're going to keep developing content over time. So it's a tricky one. I'm not sure if they've walked the line quite right. It's also not the most heinous example that I've seen at all. Isla, why did I get the PlayStation version? So, Gamsy, we did have a good potato therapy session where I convinced everybody that the game sucks. Why did I get it on PlayStation? So the PC version of Helldivers has very aggressive or kind of draconian anti-cheat software in it. It's kernel level anti-cheat, so more invasive than it should be in terms of the way that it looks at your PC and the amount of access that they give themselves to your PC. So for me, I didn't particularly want that. The kernel level anti-cheat is kind of reasonable in high level esports games. I don't begrudge Riot for putting kernel level anti-cheat into Valorant and League of Legends and stuff like that. Even then, it shouldn't be mandatory. It should be like, opt into this anti-cheat if you want to play this competitively. but it is like serious stuff. And in the case of Helldivers, the reason that they've put such aggressive anti-cheat in there isn't to stop people cheating, it's to stop people getting the microtransaction items. Like they're protecting their monetization by giving themselves ultimately access to the entirety of your PC if you want to play their game, and that's not great. Chicken wins are pimping people not listening on Go Live. Not listening to what, Tom? Guys, you're off to bed. No worries, you have a good sleep. Guys seems to get up at 5 in the morning. Lemsip money, thank you. I do need the Lemsip. Yeah, Joe, much appreciated. I am going to feel better soon. I'm better than I was yesterday. You're a colonel. Come on, episode 13. That is like, there's no need for that. But saying that, my PC is obviously sweetness and innocence, and if they want kernel level access, they're not going to find anything that interesting. So maybe I should have got the PC version. I should make it nice and crisp on that resolution. You enjoyed Dodge's appearance on the pod yesterday. Dodge is not a guest. He's a regular. The Tuesday show will have Dodge every week that he's available. You can't cheat your way out of the grind. You have to pay to escape the grind. Exactly, Ragey. If you want a hat that looks better than the default hat, damn well have to pay for it. Nobody's gonna hack their way into a better hat. Pete, you're not keen on mainline FPS games anymore. You can't actually work out why. So either that you're getting worse at them or that you're bored with them. Both are possible. Watching them is often on. So Pete, tell me, like, previous FPS games that you did enjoy and ones that you've tried to play and just not found entertaining more recently. And then maybe we'll figure it out together. This is a horrible mash of violin noise I've got playing in my ear. So that's Helldivers. That's not like a very thorough take on Helldivers, but I am totally, I've got like a brain fog and a heavy face, so I don't know what I've said and what I haven't. My PC is too powerful. Kernels be popping. Maybe episode 13. Maybe. But I do think like multiplayer is easier from my PC than it is from my PlayStation as well. Especially for all the streaming and nonsense that I do. Oh well. I'm avoiding, like, it's good enough. The PlayStation version is good enough for the amount that I think I'm going to play that game. So I'm going to stick with it. I don't think I'm going to play it more than a week or two. Thoughtful takes combined with my accent are something you don't hear often. Me? Are you saying that I've got like a dumbass accent? That's reasonable. Gamsley, you're going to help. I said Potato is entirely uneventful, and I don't understand why anybody likes it. Thank you, Gamsley. That was a helpful reminder. Oh, Dodge. Okay, yeah. Dodge's accent is a treat. He's got a voice for podcasting that I am leveraging for my own benefit. I'm going to become world famous just off of Dodge's charisma. That's the plan, eh, Dodge? He's gone now, so you can't even push back on it. Southerners are thoughtful. So, that was Helldivers. What else have I been playing? Vampire. Who's played Vampire? Gamsley doesn't like it, but Gamsley likes Potato, so he doesn't know what he's talking about. Patrick, you don't hear any accents from any of us. Curious. I keep kicking my Quest Pro with my feet. It keeps switching on and making noises. I need to check that out soon. I haven't played VR for so long. Been so busy. Oh, Dodge is still here. He knows of my plan to get famous off his voice. That's fine. He won't resist. Who's played Vampire? Because the studio Don't Nod that made Vampire, and presumably the same like part and personnel of that studio, have just released Banishers, which has had fairly mediocre reviews, but Vampire had fairly mediocre reviews as well. And the more I play Vampire, the more I realise I'm going to need to play Banishers as well. You like Don't Nod? Yeah. But I really like the core concept of Vampire. I think perhaps its hard mode should be its default. Replicant, you love Vampire. It's really underrated, yeah. The hard mode emphasises... I'm only basing this on the description that the game gives you when you're selecting the difficulty at the start. The hard mode emphasises the like the vampire struggles that are core concept of the game. If you play it on hard mode, it tells you that you're barely going to level up from like fighting enemies and playing through the combat side of the game. If you want to get more powerful, you're going to have to do that by eating innocent people. And like, the game does lean into that on its normal difficulty, but it's just stronger, taken more seriously in the hard mode, because you do get rewarded. Like it says if you select easy mode, it says that there's no reward for not eating any civilians on easy mode because it's too easy to do, whereas on medium you'll get some kind of different ending if you're nice. And on hard, that's how the game should be, and it should be a real challenge if you want to do that, because then it's a play. Like, it really does play on the player on whether you should take that benefit, whether these are video game characters that you're quite happy to eat, or whether you can feel any kind of empathy, or whether you want to roleplay as a good character. And it presents you these scenarios where you'll get people that are like clearly presented as evil, and they're doing like unspeakable crimes in front of your face, and you get the option to eat them. Or you get people that have like had a hard life and they're ready to end it, and you get the option to eat them, and you got to weigh all of these things up and decide whether you have the right to suck their blood, or whether you're going to be a monster and suck everyone's blood and become all powerful. And it's really like, it's an interesting play on the vampire, like the typical vampire fantasy, delivered very well. So I like it a lot so far. I'm not that far into it, but I think I'm going to try and get through that one. And it's making me want to play Banishers afterwards, which is Banishers is like ghost hunting, and probably in the same way I think it plays on the concept of like unfinished business and ghosts crossing over and all of that kind of stuff. So you'll have lots of thought-provoking scenarios to deal with in that one too. It's not reviewed very well. Vampire didn't review very well, but I think a lot of people get caught up on like the combat side of these games, which is not their strength. It's not the strength of Vampire in a way. But Racy Foam Stars needs PC port right now, or it will not survive for long. Do you think the PC players would have an appetite to play Foam Stars? Have you played Foam Stars? So we played Foam Stars at the weekend. One thing that I will say about both Foam Stars and Helldivers that's been disappointing is neither of them have actually worked very well. So if this is indicative of Sony's games as a service future, they need to sort their shit out. And I know that Foam Stars isn't first party, but it is PlayStation exclusive, so they should have their hands in it to make sure it actually bloody works. And both Helldivers and Foam Stars failed more often than they worked when we tried to go into multiplayer games. So Tony, you only watched the trailer. A couple of people say that Don't Nod is good, and you wondered if they played Remember Me. So Remember Me, I actually haven't. I do own it. I don't know, have you played Remember Me? Is it good? Remember Me is like, I think you play some kind of android girl who's had her memories erased for whatever reason, and I don't know. It looks fairly interesting too. Again, was supposed to have like fairly lackluster combat, but another interesting concept. I like Don't Nod. Hopefully Banishers will do well as well. Replicant, you've seen it getting good reviews. I know that ACG reviewed it well. I didn't think many of the kind of mainstream outlets had reviewed it that strongly, but Joe, you finally bought not for broadcast VR, but you're waiting to get through Infinite Wealth first. It's going to take months. Infinite Wealth looks too big for me. I'm scared of the Yakuza series. Even the previous ones look too big, but Infinite Wealth looks like way too big. Chronic, that's why they bought Nixis after all. They bought Nixis to do PC ports, but Foam Stars is a Square Enix game. How much is Banisher? I don't actually know, Alex. I don't actually know how much it is. Medal of Honor? When did Pete say Medal of Honor? So, the last first-person shooter that you enjoyed was Medal of Honor. They seem more strategic and tactical rather than straight arcade. That's interesting. So what games play out? So Medal of Honor was before like Halo and stuff though, wasn't it, Pete? Are you not a Halo fan either? Halo is the only first-person shooter that my dad's enjoyed. One of the only games that he's ever played. So not even the Stardew minigame in Infinite Wealth. Yeah. Yeah. I gather the minigames can suck like 40 hours out of your life if you want to do them, so. Joe, you really hated Detroit, so you're not sure about the Android thing. Detroit, no, Remember Me wasn't like Detroit. I didn't hate Detroit though, I quite liked it. Alex, is PlayStation going third party? We can talk about that in a minute actually. As we've just prattled on with nonsense so far. I like the nonsense, I like talking about games. Do you know what? The best part of gaming is games. And the commercial directions of corporations I find exhausting when it comes to things that we're talking about. I really like talking about games. There's some overlap and some relevance of like how much money these companies are making and what direction they're going to push games. But I can only stomach talking about those things like once. So when you have like, oh, Microsoft are buying Activision Blizzard King, that was interesting. Once. And my soul evaporated having to talk about that like almost every week for 2 years. It was interesting once. Games. I love talking about games. So the fact that we're just sitting here talking about games is good for me. But on that note, my microphone keeps falling over. 1 second. On that note, let's talk about, we are on the precipice of major changes for the industry that I see as mostly positive. Nothing is ever as simple as like it's entirely positive or it's entirely negative. So there are going to be pros and cons to whatever happens and upsides and downsides and things to be skeptical of. But we know that tomorrow Microsoft have their podcast. They're making some changes. And what do we think of that being a podcast? They said a whole load of rumors broke like last weekend or whatever about various games going to other platforms, and a load of dickheads had complete meltdowns about it, like complete meltdowns about how terrible that would be or whatever else. And then there were some walkbacks and other things, but things are definitely happening at Xbox. Things are definitely changing, and they've announced that they're going to make this, they're going to formalize it and tell us properly via a podcast format. So to me, you reckon it's just to promote the podcast? I don't think they care about the success of the podcast particularly. The podcast is just like a marketing arm. Gamsy, you think a podcast makes a lot of sense? So the podcast is going to be featuring Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Matt Booty, which is like the three most senior people within Xbox, really, apart from Microsoft finance people. But properly senior Xbox games people are coming onto a podcast. So yes, they get to talk to the audience. Yes, that's very consumer facing rather than investor facing. But it's also a podcast gives a lot of opportunity for a lot of words, which means like they're basically going to be going into hella depth, you would think. The podcast will remain dead though, Saitama. No one's going to watch the podcast again the next week. Didn't quite get the dickhead noise. I'm not going to repeat the dickhead noise. I can't. It's going to be Tina Amini leading the conversation. I don't know who that is. Is she a regular on the podcast? They're obviously going to talk a lot anyway, aren't they? So we should get a whole lot of detail. Gracia, wasn't Sony already third party with MLB The Show on everything? Well, that's MLB The Show is a definitely an exceptional case. So you can say that they're third party because obviously they release games on Steam and stuff, so they are a third party company in that sense, third party publisher. And you can say the same for Microsoft because they got games everywhere too. I cannot repeat the meltdown noise. You wonder if they considered doing it on Gaming Arcadia. Do you know what they've done, Joe? They've looked at the Xbox Series podcast and gone, you know what? We can slip out some bad news while that's on because that podcast is excellent and everyone will be there. We can just have our little podcast on the side, deliver our news on the direction of Xbox, and no one will notice because it'll all be over there. So they scheduled it at exactly the same time as we go live, which is massively inconvenient of them. She's the person they hired from IGN and leads all of their digital content now, like the podcast and the dev directs. Okay, I will recognize her. The name was familiar, but we'll recognize her from dev directs, I would imagine. I don't watch their podcast. I'm not going to watch like what is essentially a marketing extension podcast, but Darge will be the fourth member calling it fucking bullshit. You tune in for that. We're going to start 10 minutes early. How did you know that? I've thought that internally, like in the back of my brain somewhere, I thought we'll just go live 10 minutes early. But I didn't think I'd said that out loud. That's spooky. Don't read my other thoughts. Yeah, what am I talking about? Xbox podcast. So that's happening. We know that there's a fair chance that the bulk of that podcast is going to be talking about where they're planning to put various games and where they're not planning to put various games and all the rest of it. We also had today Sony's, I don't know, some kind of fiscal results probably. Their chief finance guy, who essentially is steering the ship at Sony at the moment, because obviously Jim Ryan is stepping down and they haven't got the replacement in place. They've got a guy running it on an interim basis. So the guy that's basically steering the ship at the moment has said very similar things. Tom, another meltdown dickhead noise. I can't read the Discord right now, Gamsley. Another meltdown dickhead noise. I can't remember what noise I made. So I can't repeat it. I want to. I feel bad that you've just done a super chat and I can't do it. I'm also reticent because I don't know. I just am. So Sony have come out and they've said, don't fall for the speculation on PS5 Pro. No, they didn't say that. Alex, I'm going to get to the Sony thing in a minute. So Alex has said the PlayStation 5 Pro is apparently $500 and will run games at 120 frames per second and 4K and some sort of ray tracing. Don't fall for the speculation on the PlayStation 5 Pro is what Patrick says. It will be a slightly okayer PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5 Pro is going to be exactly what Tom Henderson said it's going to be. Which is in line with what you're saying there, Patrick, basically. Did he not basically say that SIE is bad at business? So he said it's all translated, and it does depend on who you go to for the translation, because people are pushing their own agendas alongside it. But what he said was essentially that the people creating games at PlayStation are really passionate people, like brilliant at creating things, and yada yada yada, and he likes them, but they're not necessarily that cognizant of the best way to maximize their profits and make money. And he said very directly that he would like to see them chase better profit margins through multi-platform releases. Which, yes please. For me, like, yes please. OFGS, Asa Isla has had a direct neural input for years. Do you know what, Pete? She's still here as my friend, so It's okay, right? It's okay. It's a little bit scary, but it's okay. Joe, you had rumors that they're putting Halo on the Dreamcast VMU. Might make a video on it, yeah. Yeah. 16K, 240 beats per minute, maybe. You're very forgiving. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You've only found good stuff in there, I'm sure. Replicant, funnily enough, it was reported that Jim Ryan was the blocker against Day One on PC, so maybe it will change. Who's reported that though, Replicant? Sony are pretty good at keeping their secrets. I'm all in favour of Day One on PC, obviously. I like playing on PC. I'm all in favour of this multi-platform future where lots of games go to lots of places and hardware has to actually be good for us to want to buy it. That was a while ago. So Jim Ryan did like to talk about his virtuous cycle of games funding PlayStations, funding games, funding PlayStations, funding games, and all the rest of it. Alex, what happened to Isla? What happened to Isla? She quit? No, I don't think she's quit. Quit would be the wrong term anyway. Like, Joe, you got a 3.5K Razer laptop with a 4080 in it this week, and it can't play Portal RTX. What's that about? Why not? What happens when you try and play Portal RTX? Portal RTX is super demanding, Joe. You do need to use DLSS on it. But it should. I would have thought your laptop would play it. So long as you're doing that. So long as you are using DLSS. If you're trying to run it at like a native higher resolution, then you'll struggle. Crazy frame drops. Ooh. So I don't know the laptop iterations of graphics cards and how they compare to the desktop ones and all the rest of it, the discrete cards, but anything path traced is super demanding. So whenever you look at a reflection or a reflection or refraction, it full on dies. Do make sure that you're using, you are supposed to use the tools that are in there for it. So DLSS, frame gen, and upscaling. And then see how you get on with it. I hope that works for you, but I haven't tried Portal RTX myself. I don't know how it compares to the likes of Cyberpunk and Alan Wake and all of those other path traced options. And Minecraft, of course. Who plays Minecraft, by the way? I'm asking this with a view to the servers that I set up. Joe, they don't compare favourably. No, I know they don't compare that favourably, but you didn't see an option for DLSS. Well, that will be critical. Like, the DLSS option is definitely in there, so find it and make sure that that's all enabled. It might be enabled by default and that might not help in the slightest. Tony, Cyberpunk is the only game that has path tracing, right? No, Tony, Alan Wake 2 can be played entirely path traced, which is the closest equivalent to Cyberpunk, but you can also play Portal RTX, you can play Minecraft fully path traced. That was the first one that came about. And you can play various things that are modded. So you can play like Serious Sam and Half-Life and that. There's a whole load of additional mods coming in the near future with full path tracing too. In terms of high-end stuff though, Alan Wake and Cyberpunk stand out. Like, very much stand out from the rest. Yes, Replicant, RTX Remix, that's the ones. They formally released the tools for that now, right? So lots of ye oldie games being remastered into RTX, mostly by modders and community members, but sometimes officially as well. Pete, you really want to love motherfuckers, but you don't love or hate it. No, that's not what you meant. You really want to love motherfuckers. What's MF in this context? So, where am I? So, yeah, PlayStation have basically said they're looking along much the same lines as Xbox, without any time frames and without their new leader in place, Mindfract. It's good, right? So are there any downsides for us as consumers? Are there any downsides to games going everywhere? Obviously the console warriors suffer for it because they don't get to console war anymore. But for like people that actually just want to enjoy games and play them wherever they want, what are the downsides to games being published everywhere? For the corporations, there are clear downsides. Like it's a balancing act for Sony and Microsoft because it does diminish the intrinsic value of their consoles. Your safety pin just pinged out. What was your safety pin doing, Tom? What's going to be the consequence of your safety pin pinging out? Is it like holding your torso together? Are your guts going to fall all over the floor? Or is it a less critical safety pin than that? If your intestines are currently like wrapped around your legs, probably stop typing on YouTube and get that safety pin back in place. Yeah, so intrinsic value of the consoles. Again, I'm happy that goes away. I don't know. What are the downsides to everything going multi-platform for us as consumers? The only downside that I can think of, like, legitimately, is that when the likes of Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft are fighting for their walled gardens, they did throw a lot of money into making games to make those walled gardens real. When you open things up, then you can end up in the same kind of scenario that we have in the virtual reality space, where no one is as motivated to throw money into it. It's a different scenario when games have to make profit in their own right. Siloed off individually, each game has to make a profit or it's not worth making. Can lead to less investment into fun projects. That's the only downside as like consumers, as far as I can tell. Wayne, if you say Xbox has less and less players, so you can lose your library, might take time, but still a lot of money to lose. I don't think there's any remote risk of the Xbox libraries going away anytime soon. Especially as like Microsoft's current cloud offering, in terms of licensing and ownership, is Xbox centric, right? You can't play the stuff you own, but yeah, I don't think losing access to games on the Microsoft side of things is a big risk. It is a risk, and it is, I keep saying, it's something like people should be aware of and should push back on if they're concerned, because there could come a day when any one of these platforms decides that they're not doing games anymore, and we will have like no legs to stand on to push back against that. Unless there are some significant changes in law somewhere, we'll have nothing. Like they'll say, well, we're not doing Xbox anymore, we're not doing PlayStation anymore, we're closing Steam accounts now, and there's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. So people should be aware of that. So one downside could be that Sony devs are not used to developing for PC and have less time to focus on the quality of the game. That is a legitimate downside, particularly on the Sony side of things, in that the traditional exclusive game was potentially like laser focused onto a piece of hardware and its capabilities. That's something that Microsoft gave up a long time ago, as soon as they started developing for PC. So it might piss off episode 13. Is that considered a downside? He's happy so long as Phil Spencer's happy, so that's fine. Devs are laziest one. No, Tony, don't do that one. Not the lazy thing. But it is different. Like this is particularly in Sony's case, it's been one of the biggest advantages for the PlayStation, is they can afford to focus on it. Microsoft gave that up in favor of the PC, and it suits me better. I prefer Microsoft's approach, but like I said earlier, there's always downsides to everything. Nothing is as simple as like this is clearly the best route and there are no downsides to doing it in this way, because those things are simple and have already happened. Everything that hasn't already happened has pros and cons to it. Microsoft gave up being able to laser focus on a singular spec of hardware. Sony are looking like they're about to give that up, so that is a downside, but not a huge one for me. Not a huge one. Tom, the fly... Wait a minute. The fly in your jeans was bust. Luckily, it pinged away whilst weeing. The consequences could have been very unfortunate. Now they're just wear slippers in the bathroom. Okay. I'm glad we understand the conundrum of the safety pin. And I'm glad your intestines are not wrapped around your legs. Microsoft games had their share of problems on PC at first too. It's not so much just the like the PC is always going to be infinite hardware configurations and infinite problems, and you get good ports and bad ports, of course you do. But it's more if you look at the way that the Xbox consoles perform relative to the PlayStation ones, in many cases the hardware differential isn't really realized, and I still think it is because DirectX is so multi-purposed. I'm not going anywhere with that point. Nothing at all there. I don't know, once Sony have gone, if you remember the way that The Last of Us released on the PlayStation 3 was like, wow, that's way better than the PlayStation 3 can deliver. On the PlayStation 4, I don't know, there's probably some equivalents where Sony will release a game, and like The Last of Us Part 2, I suppose, would be the obvious choice. And you could argue Red Dead Redemption as well, because that didn't come out on PC at the time. It was very laser focused to pieces of hardware. These games that punch above what the hardware should be able to deliver may become less common in a more multi-platform environment. That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Give me my games wherever I want to play them and I'm happy, but you can see the safety pin shining between the bulk brush and the bleach, but you're not putting your hands there at this hour. Fine choice, Tom. Just get on Amazon and buy a new safety pin. Or pair of jeans. Whatever it takes. It's raining. Where's Cat? I don't know. I don't know where your cat is. Cats don't mind the rain. Well, I suppose they do. So, Sony are going multi-platform. Xbox are going multi-platform. Tomorrow's going to have the first like proper formalized announcements of some interesting things happening. We're all very pleased because it means we can play whatever we want, whenever we want, wherever we want. And the biggest risk or detriment or skepticism is that somewhere along the lines, these companies are doing this not because they care for us, but because they care for money. Somewhere along the lines, what's best for them will not align with what's best for us. Somewhere along the lines, their chase for money is going to lead to a worse experience for us rather than a better one. But for now, the enemy of my friend is a potato, or whatever the saying goes. You know, like I think what they're doing should be good for us broadly overall. Joe, you're looking at graphics options in Portal. It's got to be there. It's got to be there. I believe you're going to get your Portal RTX working. Alex, we need a Helldivers 2 session. Yes, there will be more Helldivers 2. Darge has it. Wayne has it. Chris Grinnell has it. Chronic has it, I think. There's a bunch of people there. So by all means, jump into the stream rooms on the Discord server as well. You don't just need to play it when I'm there. There are many options. But I am also very happy to jump into it in the near future. An option for Windows Aero. Interesting. What else have we got? Were there any other topics? Have we even covered any topics? What time is it? Did any of you bring any topics? Anything that you want to talk about before we go on to the questions at the end of the show? Isla, did you just... Is that the cat? Is the cat back and typing? You found her or she found you? Maybe you can get some safety jeans. Best of both worlds. Yeah. Yeah. Wait a minute, Pete. What did I do? Either I did say questions. Have we got many questions? Saitama, you've got a topic. What do I think of IGN making their own E3-like event now? That is an interesting question. I saw DMC Ryan, or whatever he calls himself, Ryan McCaffrey, talked about it, right? IGN are planning some in-person event, possibly in LA or Las Vegas, I can't really remember, to compensate for the lack of E3, they want to bring back the idea of in-person events, and they're doing something in the summer. I'm not like a massive fan of IGN as a company or a Ziff Davis underling or whatever, but I'm also not a massive fan of the Game Awards and the Summer Game Fest stuff. So I guess it's a positive. Like, in-person events are interesting. I don't think either. I don't really know what I think is exciting. I'm not sitting here thinking, oh, I'm going to fly out and go to this event or anything like. I think it's probably good that it exists overall. IGN folks are a little suspect. IGN have kind of made a mockery of themselves lately with the way they've handled the Suicide Squad stuff. You got denied a review code and now you're doing daily articles about how much you hate this game. This is weird. It's weird behavior that's hard to ignore. But I also, what bothers me about IGN is it feels very corporate, like the need for growth. Because you go to IGN and it's got all of this stuff about films and things. IGN, once upon a time, was a gaming news website. But the need to grow is so evident that it's just like, like those kind of noises. That's me choking on saliva. So them feeling a need to grow further and do in-person events, they're not the ones. They don't want to hang out with IGN because they're weird corpo journalism. They sit, you got bloggers on the one hand, and you've got journalists over here, and you've got IGN, which is neither. They're like a PR marketing arm. So I don't really know what to make of that. They're not. I don't know. You miss 1UP. 1UP was probably good at a time. I miss when Eurogamer was good. I do remember 1UP. I miss when Eurogamer was a good website. They used to have really good puns in their titles, which was all I needed. I don't like it when I go onto a gaming website and it's filled with movie news. I understand that you need to drive revenue to keep these things running and keep people employed, but it's just weird. I will let you or Katie, whichever one is typing there, know. The questions will be soon though, if that's okay. Eurogamer used to be one of the best sites. It did used to be one of the best sites, and now it is bad, which is a shame. What sites are good still? Where do people go? Console Creatures is a nice site. Relatively smaller one, but they definitely stick to games. Seasword 514, can't trust reviewers that are afraid of being denied early access to new PlayStation content. Yeah, they completely shattered any trust that anyone should have had in them by being all petty about a game they didn't get access to. They're like, they're behaving like an influencer. They're behaving like a typical like single account YouTuber, but on a much wider, much broader scale, and it's weird to see. I'm genuinely surprised that they're acting so petty about the Suicide Squad thing. Like, who is this? Why has no one reined it in and said, hang on, we look stupid here. Let's stop putting out these articles. Because we are coming across as dickheads as a company. But it's not happening. They're behaving like entitled children, despite being an entity of many, many people. Like, it's weird. Pete, you're really in the dark for a decent game news site, sadly. I mean, I still value ACG. People that inflict conditions on themselves. That it's a weird thing. Like, you know that I do this myself. I have my own kind of policies, self-inflicted policies that make my life harder because it's like an acknowledgement that I am a person. I see flaws in people. I see how easily people are like compromised, as it were, or how easy it is to chase certain things. And I don't consider myself above that. The opposite, I consider myself just as susceptible to that as everybody else. So I put things in place to make sure that I stay a certain way. And there's not like perfect answers in what those things are, but I really appreciate it when people have recognized that they need to do something to stay honest, rather than just, it's very easy to assume like, oh, I'm me, of course I'm honest, of course my opinion counts. I'll always be maximum integrity guy, and everyone goes into things with that approach. But you have to be able to look at other people and see a reflection of yourself and see that you are also like them. So ACG stands up because he makes sure that he's giving away, like, anything that he gets for free, he buys and gives away to his community. Which is, it's not a perfect policy, but it's a policy, and that means a lot. The Last Stand Media and Colin Moriarty's lot, they have a policy in place where they will never take any gaming marketing or anything free. They don't take PR copies, they don't do interviews and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily like everything or agree with everything that they say, but I can at least trust that they're trying. And I think Gene Park has a very similar policy to ACG as well, where anything that he's given to review he will buy with his own money to stay connected to like real life at the same time. So those are the places that I would go for like reviews and feedback on games, because I know that they're at least trying. But it used to be, yeah, there used to be a lot more websites that I would trust to a much more serious degree than I do now. There are nice ones though. Like, I think Console Creatures are good guys, and there's probably some others too. Tony, you don't go to places that tell you what you should or not like. Well, there's always that element of it. You come here and I tell you what to like. I'm always telling you, not potato, not potato. Tom, who's Matty? And Pete, as an example, Paul Tassi from Forbes was an Xbox hater for years. And when it suited, an Xbox lover, and now he's on the fence. Surprise, surprise. Yeah. I don't really know who that person is, but I know like Forbes is typically a very click-driven outfit, right? So they'll say whatever is going to get the most. Clicker. Tony's installing Potato now. Tony, you told me to play the two-finger death punch, or whatever it's called, and I'm going to play it. That's how much power and sway you have. Don't ever buy a gaming laptop. Oh, Joe. You can't spend 3,500 on a gaming laptop and not have a good time with it. That sucks. I have a laptop for some of my streaming needs, but not like a super powerful one like you. Mr. Matty Plays. Tom, I know the name, but I don't know where his content is. Does he have his own channel, or doesn't he do or did Defining Duke with Cog? Does he have his own thing besides that? Or am I thinking of someone else completely? You say to an extent because he does not accept some game-based sponsorships. Oh, because he does accept some. So he has his own bigger channel. Okay. Replicant, your laptop is quite old now. My laptop is old. I have like a GTX 1660 Ti or something, because it had the encoder that I needed. I don't actually use it for games. My wife occasionally uses it for games, but I got it for the encoder. Oh, okay, Joe, yours is a work machine. You wouldn't have bought it. Okay, if it's a work machine, I'm not feeling so distraught that you spent so much on something you don't like. Plays World of Warcraft. Well, fair enough. I need to play some more World of Warcraft as well. Okay, Tom, it is who I thought it was. I've never seen any of his own content on his own channel, but I've never seen much of anything or anyone. I am but a fool. Let's do the questions, eh? Let's do the questions, because I swear we're like an hour and a half in and I don't think I've actually said anything coherent yet. So maybe the questions will bring the structure that we need. Isla, please may I have... I've actually lost the box that has them. Please may I have... Shit, it's already there. Episode 13 asked, I watched you play Skull and Bones and I just thought how generic and a bit dry it looked. Ha ha. It wasn't dry, episode 13. I was sailing on a fucking ocean. It can't get much more wet. Oh yes, there's water. Okay, he did say it. Sea of Thieves is very beautiful and has more character and more soul. My thoughts on Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is like brilliant, but not at the same time. I played it quite a lot when it came out. I loved the like emergent gameplay and the physicality of it. It has what Skull and Bones doesn't, in that you feel like you're very much part of a world doing things. Everything is operated manually, and it might seem a bit arduous or repetitive, but it feels right for that kind of game, and you feel that absence in Skull and Bones. But they never got progression or risk and reward right. So Sea of Thieves, like, there's so much potential there, but it's ruined by the fact that if you haven't got any treasure on board your ship at any given moment, you have nothing to lose. And in a game where like PvP was quite a central dynamic, the fact that you'd see a boat and you'd never know if they were going to be friendly or hostile was supposed to be core, but it got ruined by the fact that there was no risk if you had no treasure. So it was just filled with people who would try it and fight in stupid ways. And you make a mistake in Sea of Thieves. Like, you got these should be high risk strategies, like you stick your pirate in a cannon and you try and board a ship doing that. But there's no risk to doing it. If you miss, you just talk to a mermaid and get back on your boat. So the combat devolved into weird strategies of exploiting the fact that there's no risk. People swimming around in the sea with barrels and then using mermaids and using the barrels and using the mermaid and using the barrel. And it became... it really missed the trick for me, just by not quite having any consequence to playing like a dick. I don't mind people playing like a dick, but there should have been consequence to it. Like, sinking the ship of someone that's been griefing you for an hour should have been a satisfying moment, but it's not, because you know they haven't lost a thing. So that's a shame. And obviously it never had any meaningful progression, which I like that it didn't have any power progression. But I always thought when I went into Sea of Thieves, I figured like at some point I'm going to get the curse from Pirates of the Caribbean and I'm going to be a skeleton for however long it takes me to solve this problem. And at some point I'm going to get bitten by a shark and I'm going to end up with a scar on my arm. But none of that is there. There is no persistence or overarching stuff going on. It is just a sandbox. So Sea of Thieves is almost brilliant and just not quite. There's a question from Darge, but it was too long for the Q&A box, so you removed most of the vowels to try and make it fit. Sorry, it wasn't Darge's fault. Thank you, Anna, that's fine. That's my thoughts on Sea of Thieves. And Skull and Bones has made me quite want to play Sea of Thieves again. My pirate is still wearing his pajamas, but I like that. He's ready to go. I just wish it had something to make it feel persistent. And it doesn't have that. Tony, Sea of Thieves is heading in the right direction, teaming up with pirate things. One Piece should be on their radar. Maybe. I don't like crossover content and collaborations very much most of the time. But I guess Sea of Thieves is light enough that they can get away with it. Shower time, stream in 5 minutes. Okay, Tony, good luck with that. Next question, please. Darge, what do you make of the news? Sony are contemplating moving forwards with games reaching other platforms. With Microsoft announcing tomorrow, do you think the landscape of gaming is finally about to change? PlayStation games day and date onto PC, I assume he means. Yeah, that was kind of one of the topics that we covered. So yes, Dodge, love it, suits me. I'm always going to be skeptical that at some point in the future our interests and their interests will not align. But for now, give me my games where I want to play them. I don't want it to get to a point where if you consider that Sony are following the kind of direction that's been dictated by the industry, where budgets have blown up and all the rest of it, we know that they're moving into games as a service. I don't think everything about modern gaming is better than games used to be. So I just I'm happy with most of what's happening there. I want to be able to play games wherever I want, but I don't want everything to shift away from the traditional gaming experience and be changed to games as a service and weird monetization models and all the rest of it. So I don't know, I'm broadly happy and I love everything. All of the games are excellent apart from Brotato. Next question, please. Chronic, for you, it was the aim of getting to Pirate Legend so you could see the locked area in the taverns. Yes. That was literally all Sea of Thieves had as a progression mechanic though, right? I don't know if they've added since. I know they have added things, but I don't know if any of the things that they've added are fun. Also, I played a lot of Sea of Thieves when it came out, and I didn't get to Pirate Legend, but at some point, they so drastically slashed the time that it takes to get to Pirate Legend. I never went back and got there, but it's weird because I'm like... I had a friend in the States that started playing Sea of Thieves quite late in the day, and I've done like 20 times more than him of everything, but he was further in the game than I was just because of the changes that they made, and I was like, this is weird. This doesn't feel nice to me. Where is Sistato? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Oh, Brotato, Sistato. I do know what that means. Good question, Tom. Not one that I can answer for you. Right, Tony the Arcadia asked, Xbox shadow dropping a game tomorrow? If it does, you expect the next podcast for someone in the panel to take off their shirt. Xbox shadow dropping a game onto what platform tomorrow, Tony? That's the question. Do you think they're going to run a podcast and shadow drop a game onto like the Switch or something? Skip all useless questions and read only yours. Alex, I might just skip yours and read all the others. Next question, please, Isla. Episode 13. I want Nintendo to make a proper console, question mark. All I want is the GameCube 2. Do you think Nintendo will ever make a proper console again? No, I don't think they will. I would also like that. All I want from the next Nintendo console is for it to work well as a docked traditional console. Do not care about the handheld side of it. We'll see what it is, right? Whatever it is has to be better than the Switch because the Switch is ancient now. So whatever Nintendo bring, I'm interested. I want to play some of their Switch games. I will get on that eventually. Pete the Arcadia asked, what years does Asa and audience think were the golden age of gaming? Oh, all of them, Pete. I don't know. That's a good question. So everyone, the golden years of gaming. Isla says 2005 to 2009. I don't know if I mean that. But what made you say that? What came out in 2005 to 2009? Or what were you enjoying in that time? Atari and Amiga? Those were the golden... So I think games are better than they used to be in those days. I think broadly speaking, games have got better and better and better and better over time. I don't know at what point monetization became pervasive. There was probably a period of time where online gaming was taking root, but monetization hadn't shifted, and that might be the golden age. Maybe like Dreamcast through to about halfway through the Xbox 360 era. Right up until Horse Armor. Maybe a tiny bit further than that was the golden age of gaming, I reckon. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. I liked contained games that didn't need to be live service. In those days, you did get some few and far between like proper live service games as well. But that's my answer. Dreamcast through to Horse Armor. All views are valid. That's not true, Pete. Only views that I approve of are valid. Xbox 360 introduced the online pass. But you mean as in games with gold or the Xbox Live Gold? That wasn't to me, that wasn't a bad thing when the Xbox 360 came out. It became a bad thing. It became a meaningless thing. It became a terribly greedy thing. But when the Xbox 360 was fresh, it was quite a unique offering that I felt was worth paying for. That definitely changed, and it just became a piss take over time. But no, I'm sticking with my answer. Dreamcast through to Horse Armor. Good soundtrack choice, is that right? Have you identified it, Painful Discourse? The Wii was important to you. Most of your favourite games are PlayStation 2 games. I see that. PlayStation 2 was definitely before the service twist kicked in. And is included in the era. The Dreamcast to Horse Armor era does include the PlayStation 2, so... Wow, we aligned on that. Hooray! Look at last year, gaming is getting better. Replicant, I do broadly agree. Like, it's mostly positives in the way that gaming has evolved over time. Replicants counter trade-ins. Game came with multiplayer, but if you bought it prepared, you didn't get multiplayer access without paying. Yeah, the industry's relationship with trade-ins was a little bit tricky for a while. Is the soundtrack a Plague Tale? It's not. It's similarly oppressive, but it's not a Plague Tale. Oh, wait a minute. Gamsley has asked tea or coffee. Gamsley, I got neither for this show. I just got a little bit of red wine. No tea, no coffee. Typically, I drink both fairly equally, but coffee is more useful to me. I probably drink more coffee than tea. Tony, arcades were the golden years. Console brought gaming back into the Stone Age and slowed down progress so much. Disagree. Disagree with that one. Arcades never did that much for me. Tea with maple syrup. That's controversial. You're not Canadian, are you? You're playing one of the recent Tomb Raiders at 4K 120 on Ultra. When you say one of the recent Tomb Raiders, you don't mean the remasters that came out this week, do you? You mean the good trilogy. Pete, there used to be amazing game moments when something new or revolutionary happened. What are those moments now? You've just not played enough virtual reality, Pete. Always good tea and good maple syrup. That's a fair question. Alex S has asked, what do I think of the new PlayStation Plus games that he posted on Discord for the month of February? Tales of Arise is the only one that I can remember. PlayStation Plus is not a terrible service to me. Like, there are quite a few games on there that I want to play. I've got like Star Ocean something or other installed from there, and a few other lengthy RPGs, and the stupid Final Fantasy Strangers of Paradise thing. There are games on there. They don't do the day one thing, but it's obviously a much cheaper service for Sony to run than Game Pass is, and they might be more along the right lines. Game Pass is a better offering for the consumer by far, but it's obviously costing Microsoft a lot more to deliver that. So we'll see how those dovetail. The way that these services go, they almost always end up aligning. Like, Microsoft and Sony have their little differences and their tit for tat, but they end up broadly landing in the same place. We'll see what happens and which one becomes normal. It's a resignation podcast. What? I'm not resigned. They're both good trilogies. Joe, see, I really liked the Tomb Raider reboot trilogy. The original Tomb Raiders, I could take it or leave it. Pete, fair point on VR. But that's hardware rather than gameplay. No, VR's not hardware rather than gameplay. Disagree. The hardware on VR is like an enabler for quite unique software. One is nothing without the other. And they're like, is the OST vampire? It most certainly is. Painful Discourse, yes. You picked your phone up and ended watching 5 minutes of mid-podcast. Oh no, this is a mid-podcast. That's sad and disparaging. Yeah. Next question, please. Alex, you tell me, are there any games from the PlayStation Plus thing that you intend to pick up? Forget VR and then think about the question. That was thinking about the question. VR is like the most notable revolutionary change to the way that you can play games that we've had for a while. Besides that, it's not specifically game related, but I think cross-platform multiplayer is a massive deal in terms of how I can interact with games and people. So that's not like a gameplay mechanism though. In terms of games doing something bold and new, we've not invented any new dimensions for them to occupy for a long time, so I get that. We've not really leveraged cloud and persistence properly, but I think we're going to, Pete. I think that's probably the next like step change, hopefully, is worlds being able to do more and being able to be more persistent. Lots of like shared content in that regard. I don't think things have got worse in that sense. I don't think it is stagnating. I think it's a very fair point. Yeah, AI is a big one, Replicant, that will potentially change things up. I think AI and cloud will go together though. Iron Lord podcast and their viewers just joined. Say hello. Good evening anyone that's come over from over on the Iron Lords channel at the moment. Crispy Rambo, how you doing? So cloud and AI are going to revolutionize games in some ways. That's going to happen. Yeah, I don't think games have particularly stagnated, Pete. I think it's fair to say that the ballooning budgets, like spiraling costs of games, has meant a lot of risk mitigation and a lot of playing it safe. I think that's I guess a sad thing from the times, right? That's probably slowed down progress in some areas because everything has to be safe and has to be licensed and IP'd. So Illegal Dad, you've never seen this many people here. I don't know how many people are here at the moment. I try not to focus on that, so I'm going to assume that means more than 3, which is awesome. It's an addict, right? Thank you, addicts, much appreciated. We're just running through a few questions at the end of this little show that I do on the Wednesday. So McGonad, the Arcadia asked, did you watch my video? Did you hear the squish? So I put together a little promotional video that I've got on Twitter at the moment. She put too much effort into it, so thank you for that, Isla. And yes, I did. And yes, I did hear the squish. So if you watch that back, you will see a Helldiver's character eviscerated. Just gently, just softly caressed. Oh, stuff's happening. Grandman, thank you. You're prepared for our demise tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be brilliant. Nobody's going to suffer any demise. It's going to be an event. The fact that it's a podcast means there's going to be so much opportunity for them to give us so much depth and detail, and I hope that they do, and I hope we get loads of clarity. but I'm generally positive on it, not concerned in the slightest. Staying about, someone's throwing gifts everywhere. Patrick, please, like, Patrick's an awesome member of our Discord who makes me laugh on a regular basis. Patrick, making me laugh is enough. You don't need to keep gifting memberships everywhere. It's a big help. And you're an awesome guy. So if you are receiving one of these gifts, that gives you access to our Discord server where we have all sorts of fun and games. Let's have the next question, please, Isla. Ratey, Helldivers is the ODST Starship Troopers 40k Big Studios. Oh, it's the ODST or Starship Troopers game or 40k game that the big studios never gave us. Yeah, I mean, there is a Starship Troopers game available on PC that supports 16-player co-op, and I was having a look at that out of curiosity to see. When it came out, it was met quite positively, so I wondered how people are finding that compares against Helldivers. Helldivers is a very blatant Starship Troopers like rip. Takes it very directly and says this is us now. So putting it alongside a Starship Troopers game, but I looked at the Starship Troopers game and the community that play that, it's still in early access. And the community that play that seem quite perturbed by tuning changes and things like that they've made to the difficulty and find it overly repetitive. So yeah, microphone's falling over. So Helldivers is in like good stead in that regard. I'm still not sure that Helldivers will be popular in like 2 or 3 weeks time, but we shall see. Joe has asked, do you have an adapter for using an Xbox controller on the PC? Noticeable difference over Bluetooth, if so. So Joe, are you saying you notice latency when you play with Bluetooth? It's a weird thing. I do have I have the Xbox official wireless adapter thing that you used to need, and I use an Elite Series 1 controller on it. But I didn't know that the Bluetooth one has latency, because the PlayStation controllers use a modern Bluetooth, and they typically have less latency than the Xbox controllers, so I don't know about that one. I use the wireless adapter, and latency is good. What we got here? See if Phil says we are listening, we hear you. I'm more curious to see if Phil says I've enjoyed my 10 years in charge at Xbox and it's time for someone else to take over, are the words that I'm going to be listening for, more so. But I don't want to hear that. I want Phil to stay there for as long as can be, as a person that does definitely understand gaming. Grandman, is Game On Daily doing a live reaction tomorrow night? So there's an Xbox podcast on this channel every Thursday, which happens to coincide with the exact time of the Xbox podcast. So I'm going to be here with Gamsley and Deadly Headley co-streaming the thing. It just happens to clash with ours. If you want to see what Gaz is up to, I know that he is co-streaming it as well on his own on the Septic Source channel. So I'm not doing anything on the Game On Daily channel because we're both on our own separate ones while this is running. Actually, the USB wireless adapter is great for the wireless audio. See, I don't use it for wireless audio. I've never found, on the Xbox consoles or on the PC, I've never found a good wireless, like a good reliable low latency wireless audio solution that works there. Tony loves his Odyssey headset, so, but I think that uses its own dedicated adapter. I think the Arctic ones use a dedicated adapter as well, don't they? So, Tom, you've enjoyed this. You don't hear shit anymore. Lethal Migraine, Phil has been saying we are listening, we hear you since the day he became head of Xbox. Yeah, Phil has almost always said the right thing in all circumstances, but I'm still like caught on that time when he came and he did his interview where he apologized for everything. And I don't know, I don't think we've seen the end of Phil taking the blame for things. But we shall see. Not long to wait now. Tony and his Ghislaine headset. Tony, you still love your Odyssey even though PlayStation own them. They still do the good planar stuff that you love. So, next question, please. So Tom has asked, whilst talking simulation theory, if in a simulation, do you think free will is null and void as it's predetermined, or do we have it because the simulation creator wishes to see what happens? Pete, 7-month badge of fancy alert. Phil will do the usual and choose his words carefully. I don't know, this seems like more of an event. I'm sure, especially being pre-recorded, he'll have carefully chosen words and he'll still have his silver tongue in play, but right, let me get Tom's question and then we'll come on to it. So, simulation theory. Do we have free will? Is everything predetermined? Well, Tom, I think we established that we're all in like a shared simulation last time, right? So do we have free will? Because the creator wishes to see what happened. It's all getting a little bit deep and profound there. I'm gonna say that we do have free will, Tom, and I don't know why. I don't know why. Can't answer. Because the creator is a perverse monster that wants to see chaos ensue, wants to see the evil that we're capable of, right? Yes, yes, Tom. All of the things that you said. Let's have the next question because I'm confused. Lethal migraine. We have free will. That's what makes humans human. Yeah, Tom's obsessed with a simulation theory at the moment. Isla doesn't believe in free will, but you have it, Isla. You can do whatever you want. Mr. 7-Digit asks, what does Gaz do on slow Wednesdays like these? I think he just reads Twitter all day, just looks at Twitter, hoping to find the ponies. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one, but ask Gaz and maybe he'll tell you what he does. PR and legal will be choosing the word. That's true, yes. Being a pre-recorded podcast, everything will be very carefully vetted. Rachie, many are bashing the PlayStation Portal for not having Bluetooth. Remote Play plus Bluetooth is a nightmare for audio. I think it's fair to bash the Portal for not having the option though, because a lot of people just have Bluetooth headphones. So I just tried therapy because she doesn't believe in free will. If you had free will, you would choose to believe in free will. Can't do it though. Well, I'm not going to argue on that one at the moment. So, Alex S has asked, will there be any more changes upcoming to the channel? And when will we receive a schedule for each upcoming week? Alex, you have a schedule for the weeks. We have the Arcadia Roundtable on a Tuesday. We have Q&Asa on a Wednesday. We have the Xbox Series podcast on a Thursday. We have community streams on a Sunday. That's the fixed schedule. Everything else is a bit more ad hoc and a bit more up in the air. So there will be other things. There'll be game streams and all the rest of it. But you won't get a schedule for those. I'm going to do those as time allows, which, as you know, is pretty frequent. There's usually things going on. When's the Nintendo podcast? Good question. The Nintendo and the PlayStation podcasts are still waiting on people to appear. Waiting on the right people to show up to do those podcasts. But they will appear one day. Isla, you play Pokemon. If you're asking to be on a Nintendo podcast, you need to ask me in person so that I can read your face and see if you're serious. Pete, as someone who spent years working for a simulation developer, we wanted you to do anything you wanted, provided you didn't break the game. That is possibly like real life in Tom's version of it. Tony, your Nintendo Labo still in the boxes. Your Nintendo Labo is still in the boxes. That doesn't make sense. You can't put a box in a box. Your Labo was the box. You would do it if I wanted you to. No, Isla, tell me when I can see your face, please. Alex has asked, can I be on the next podcast episode to replace Gamsley? He will talk about each subject and get you lost in his trance of potatoes. No, Alex, you need a camera and a microphone and to stop trying to wind me up every 5 minutes. Then we can talk about it. But you're right that Gamsley needs to give up on Brotato. We'll never agree. Pete, open the poop room. No. Channel law. Slipspace Games from Twitch. How will my best case scenario for the official Xbox podcast tomorrow play out? My best case scenario for the official Xbox podcast. That's a good question. What's the best case scenario for anyone on the YouTube as well? Best case for me is that they hit positive messaging, that they're very clear about where they're bringing games so that people can shut up about it. For me, I'm very happy if they bring their games everywhere, but I don't know, I want positive messaging. I want them to reiterate or reconfirm their commitment to putting big games on Game Pass and to explain. I don't think this is what we're going to get, but best case for me, yeah, case by case is a reasonable approach, but I would be much happier if they... I don't want them to leave it as an open conversation that we have to revisit every week for the next 2 years. And I especially don't want them to do that because they think we won't like the news. I don't want them to... A lot of people want... Like, people think they want the truth. I'd be quite happy with the truth, even if it's bad news. I want to know where they are, where they stand, what's going on. I want to play my games everywhere. My ideal scenario is that they will reaffirm their commitment to putting big games in Game Pass. You just want all the games for free, exactly, Baz. Sony doesn't keep everything secret. Xbox revealed a secret to confuse us. Don't Sony keep things secret? I don't know. I think Phil's been in charge of Xbox for a very long time, and I think there is a fair chance that there'll be a lot of negativity and taking responsibility for bad things tomorrow. I don't really want to see that. I think it's fair for him to take responsibility, but I want to see them reiterate the positives around the platform. I want to see them reassure people that even when they make changes and bring things to other platforms, that our digital libraries are safe and all the rest of it, and just, you know, get it all out of the way so we can carry on talking about games rather than commercial directions. Tony has asked, if we lived in a world where no exclusives existed, how would that impact people's buying purchase of hardware? Price? Features like VR compatible? Is this a new or an old question? Isla, that's an old question, but still a good question. If we lived in a world where there were no software exclusives, how would that impact people's buying purchase of the hardware? We had this question last week. It's been left over from the previous show, but I think it'd be awesome. Headphones is my go-to example. I like Tony likes his Audacy headphones. I've got some cheap shit wireless earbuds in at the moment, and I've got some other stuff that I use when I'm playing games. I want a new pair of headphones that serve my needs. None of the headphones have any exclusive content, and it is a very competitive market for hardware. I would like consoles to follow the headphone model, to not have exclusive libraries of content be your reason for buying it. Your reason for buying it should be that the console is freaking good, that it offers the power that you want, the price that you want, the features that you want. And if that allowed, if you were in a hypothetical world where literally you didn't have compatibility issues to consider, where games literally worked on any console, then we could have more players in the market, more things to buy. Not the stereo market, kind of, Patrick. The thing with the stereo market is it was rightly pointed out that you don't need a stereo anymore. Exactly, Baz. Sex sells, so we'd get sexier consoles if there were not exclusive games forcing you to buy them. I go back to the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Neither bit of hardware was enticing. You had to buy them because you wanted each respective library, and people often say like, oh, why would I buy a PlayStation if I could get God of War on the Xbox or whatever? That's not a good reason to get a PlayStation. Like, if you had the option of saving that 500, that's awesome, isn't it? To just get the hardware that you want and play all the games that you want. It's a hypothetical, and there are advantages to the exclusive setup as well. Nothing is as simple as like, this is entirely good, this is entirely bad. But for me, I'd love to see software everywhere. Baz, an Xbox controller shaped like a ball bag and you'd buy it. Where would the button... not sure about that, Baz. I will speak to those Hyperkin people and see if we can get them to knock something up for you. The ones that made the Duke controller. Please make a Scrote controller for Baz Crypt Keeper. Next question, please. Lethal Migraine, it's all about the offset sticks. Until Sony makes a proper controller, you can't do it. I actually really don't mind either controller. I find both of them very comfortable. I despised the DualShock 4 and the 6-axis, like the PlayStation 3 and 4 controllers I found really uncomfortable. The DualSense is fine and the Xbox controllers are fine. They're both very comfortable in my hands. I don't really have a strong preference on the sticks, but... Alex, there's nudity in Dragon's Dogma 2. They added boobs without the nipples. Okay, Alex, okay. You'll be alright. If it gets too much for you, just turn the console off. That's it for questions. That's it for questions. Nipples are not needed in Dragon's Dogma, that's true. So, we've reached the end. Everybody that is here... Shit, there's loads of you. That can't be right. Lethal Migraine, you need a Dreamcast 2. I would love to have a Dreamcast 2. I don't know that there's much left of Sega anymore. What I really want is the games that they used to make more so than the console. But times have changed, eh? And Sega are doing strange things that I wish I could enthuse about. The Sega Project Massive Super Game and bringing back all of these classic IPs. I wish that that was pure excitement. But yeah, there's some skepticism that they'll actually do that right, that they'll execute and give us something good. Tom, Sega are as dead as Xbox will be tomorrow. Sega are still living, and Xbox are not going to go the same direction as Sega. They're not going to go pure third party in that way. I will, like, I always say I'm not one for speculation and guesswork, but I will eat a glass hat if Microsoft and Xbox are going in the Sega direction tomorrow. A hat made of glass. I don't own one. I will buy a hat made of glass and I will eat it if Microsoft are giving up being a platform holder. You can clip that, Tony. You did say as dead as. So, I think that's the end of Q&Asa today. So, if you have come here from the Iron Lords, Addict occasionally on a Sunday sends people over as well. Massively appreciate that. I'll try and have a chat with him in the background to say thanks. If you come from the Iron Lords, there is other bits and pieces going on here. Like Isla has said in the pinned comment, please do like, subscribe to the channel, and come back tomorrow for the Xbox Series podcast. Or I imagine the Iron Lords are also reacting, so have a good time over there with those chaps if you prefer. There'll be no hard feelings on that front. Alex, will I play Skull and Bones again? Yes, I will try and play it a bit. I want to give it a chance to see if there is actually compelling content in there, but I haven't found it yet. If you're a new member, if Patrick has gifted you a membership, yeah, do check out the Discord. There's all sorts of cool stuff going on there. And yes, Spartan, it was an Addict raid again, so that's awesome. But I am going to check out for today. Tomorrow, Xbox Series podcast. And then, you know, the usual stuff carries on from there. So thank you, everybody. Enjoy your evenings, enjoy your gaming, and all the rest of it. There.
Asa. Game on Daily.